Sabrina Ionescu is one of the best-known names among all WNBA players, but there are reasons for this to be so. The New York Liberty Guard's name went around the world in February 2024 when in an unprecedented event, she faced Stephen Curry after the three-point contest during All-Star Weekend. But her name was already well known to basketball fans, who knew that Ionescu had been mentored by Kobe Bryant because she was great friends with his daughter, Gigi. Now, how successful has her professional basketball career really been? Sabrina is already playing her 5th season in the WNBA, and enough time has already passed to sense what her career is gonna be like, right? At 26, she's just entering her prime, but has she managed to overcome the enormous expectations she had before making it into the WNBA? Well, let's talk about that, while trying to answer the million-dollar question. So, how good is Sabrina Ionescu actually? What can we expect her legacy to look like when she retires from professional basketball? Let's be honest, Sabrina was one of the pioneers that has caused this wave of WNBA popularity. Her college days at Oregon already made her one of the most famous female athletes in the country. But this popularity spike also had to do with her difficult roots. Sabrina's family had to emigrate from Romania to the United States in 1989, trying to escape the communist regime in which the country found itself. And this story of self-improvement hooked fans even more into her. Also, of course, her relationship with Gigi Bryant, of whom she was a close friend. Kobe took Sabrina under his wing and mentored her during her formative years, turning her mentality into that of a winner. But Ionescu wasn't just a product of the hype, she was also an incredible basketball player. In her 4 seasons at Oregon, the guard achieved many individual accomplishments. She became the player with the most triple-doubles made during her college career with 26, setting a mark that not even a guard who excels at rebounding like Caitlin Clark has been able to match. She also became one of the top 70 three-point shooters in women's college history, while she was the 32nd highest percentage player, proving that a high volume of shooting was not going to affect her efficiency. And she became the only player in Division I men's or women's basketball to finish her college career with more than 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 1,000 assists. But despite all that, she was never able to win the NCAA tournament. In 2020, she could have a good shot, but the tournament was suspended due to the COVID pandemic. Yeah, it was just painful. However, Sabrina was the number 1 overall pick of the 2020 draft selected by the New York Liberty, and people were excited to see what she would be able to do in professional basketball. During her first 3 games in the WNBA, Ionescu impressed everyone. In fact, you could say that she was exceeding the enormous expectations that were placed on her. But just then, after averaging 18 points at the beginning of the regular season, the athlete suffered an injury that radically changed her career. That third-degree sprain to her left ankle greatly diminished the huge immediate impact she was having during the early stage of her WNBA journey. And in her sophomore season, her performance was nowhere near similar. In fact, there was a time when it looked like Sabrina was never going to be the promising player she appeared to be because of that ankle injury. In 2021, the guard averaged 11.7 points on 38% shooting from the field and 33% from three-point range. But luckily, the following season she got her career back on track. The Mamba mentality may have been a factor, but Sabrina became the best player on a team that managed to qualify for the playoffs that 2021 season. In fact, with her averages of 17.4 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game, the Liberty player was selected for her first All-Star game, as well as being named to the All-WNBA second team. Not only that, but in that 2022 breakout season, Ionescu finished second in the Most Improved Player race, and 8th in the MVP race. However, in 2023, Sabrina had an even better season, not in terms of awards, as it was similar, but in terms of efficiency. She was scoring 45% of her three-pointers with almost 8 attempts per game. Ionescu then became the player who scored the most three-pointers in a single season, while also breaking the WNBA record with 128, beating Diana Taurasi's 17-year-old record. That season, Ionescu, along with the new signing Breanna Stewart, led the Liberty to the finals that, unfortunately, they couldn't win. This past season, despite being away again from this dream efficiency, Sabrina is averaging a career high in points with 19 per night, and is matching her career high in assists with 6.3 per game. A vital contribution to a team that will once again be a clear title contender at the end of the season. Somehow, Ionescu has managed to find her way back to her pre-injury success. Despite suffering one of the biggest misfortunes any player can suffer, she's shown her Mamba mentality. Now, how good can we say Sabrina is knowing the context? What are the expectations of a player who has been selected at number 1 in the WNBA draft? Well, any franchise owner is expecting a player who can aspire to be MVP almost every year, right? Is Sabrina this player? No. Well, not yet. But can she be? Hell yeah, she can. The arrival of a global superstar like Breanna Stewart to the Liberty has somewhat put her on the back burner. She's become the second offensive option on a team that has a stacked roster, but that's also allowing her to learn how to win. Sabrina already knew what it was like to lead a team, but as a franchise player, she still didn't know what a team needed to be a real contender. So the answer to that question? Yeah. It all depends on what happens after this stage. It's clear that the Liberty have a roster to win it all this year, and it would be a huge disappointment if this pair of players, who along with Jonquel Jones form a spectacular big three, broke up before achieving that goal. Now, there may come a day when Ionescu won't be in Stewart's shadow. As Kobe Bryant did with his meteoric rise on Shaq's Lakers, there will come a time when Ionescu will rise and outshine Stewart. Or at least that's what her incredible potential leads us to believe. At some point, she may break her chains and take the helm of a franchise desperate to win its first ever championship. Not only did they lose the finals in 2023, the Liberty have lost the finals on 4 more occasions. She needs to win a championship and get the monkey off her back. However, there is one thing to keep in mind. We don't know what the players entering the league tomorrow are gonna look like. It's becoming clear to us this year with Caitlin Clark, who, despite a rocky start to the season, is showing her insane potential in the second half of the regular season. If Sabrina wants to end up aspiring to that GOAT potential that people have been calling her, she's not only going to have to outperform the players of the old generation, but she's going to have to outperform the players of the next generation as well. And that won't be her only battle with Caitlin. Ionescu and Clark are 2 of the best shooters in the history of women's basketball. I mean, don't tell me you haven't seen the video in which Sabrina completely destroys all her opponents in the WNBA three-point contest, a year before the historical Steph vs. Sabrina NBA All-Star Weekend matchup, where, by the way, she made the same amount of points as the finalists of the NBA three-point contest, so the unbeatable record that Diana Taurasi keeps increasing night after night may not be as secure as it seems. With 1,413 three-pointers made to date, the Mercury guard holds the record for three-pointers made in league history, but with Sabrina and Caitlin's shooting volume, we'll most likely see this record broken. No one can argue that Sabrina isn't in the top 15 WNBA players in the league. In fact, most people would agree that she's a top 10 player. After overcoming a terrible injury, the guard continues to show signs of improvement season by season. So, in a way, I'm sure that one day we'll see Sabrina lift the MVP trophy, probably sooner than later.